Welcome, guys. It's probably one of the saddest back and forth or four quarters that we'll ever probably do. Me and Matt have already done this twice with our radio show, and each time it gets a lot harder. So, for those that may have missed out on the show on Monday, and regardless, Kobe and Gigi and all the victims do deserve a podcast dedicated to this. We'll be talking about the tragic death of Kobe Bryant, Gigi Bryant, and also all the other 7 innocent victims of that terrible helicopter crash. But always I'm Joey G.
And I'm Stat Matt, as always.
Yep, and this is really tough. I've seen a lot of celebrity deaths, and it's always sad, nothing less. But I've really just never had that connection to them, I guess. And you kind of just you're sad, and you give your thoughts and prayers, and you just kind of move on. But with Kobe, it's a lot different. Growing up a huge basketball fan and just loving college basketball and the NBA. Kobe Bryant was a big part of that. Part of me had a certain dislike for him, me being a Celtics fan and him obviously being, one of the Laker greats. Excuse my voice. It was super sad to read the news on Sunday that he had passed away. You really don't want to believe it. You want to believe it's fake, and that's kind of what was going through my mind. I thought it was fake because TMZ reported it. And then obviously doing further research and seeing it was true, it was just terrible. Not only for him, all the other victims on there, and Gigi Bryant, who was only 13 years old and had her whole life ahead of her. Kobe also only being 41. That's way too soon. And I can only imagine the pain Vanessa Bryant and Kobe's 2 other daughters are going through right now. One of the quotes, when my grandma had passed away was, you never really get over it. You kind of just learn how to cry less, and it's kind of how it feels. I'm still very sad about it, and it's really tough opening Instagram and seeing Kobe tribute videos and seeing old teammates and old friends of him talk about it. I kind of just close out Instagram right away because it just makes me very sad again. Matt, any your first reactions and thoughts on this?
Kobe, man. We truly lost a legend. I unfortunately didn't know Kobe, personally, like maybe some of his teammates and colleagues knew him, but Kobe meant a lot to me, for the simple fact that I remember as a 5 or 6 year old kid that distinctly remember this, that we were on a family vacation. I want to say it was maybe Michigan, Chicago or Michigan, yeah. one of the two. And I remember it was late night, and I, for whatever reason, turned on the TV in the hotel room, and I remember watching a Lakers game, and it was the first ever real basketball game I remember watching. Fortunately, I don't remember a ton of the players on that current team, or at the time I should say, but one player that stood out to me was number 24, Kobe Bryant. He memorized me, polarized, myself as a probably 5 or 6 year old kid, with the moves he did. He kind of had that certain swagger to him, the tongue wag, the jersey bite. He kind of had a certain walk, a certain talk, like Joe said, the fadeaway. And I remember growing up that, I always wanted to emulate that. I always wanted to be like Kobe, and he was easily my favorite player growing up as a kid, and still to this day, one of my top 3, most favorite. Regardless being a Clippers fan or not, you still gotta tip your hat, you gotta, pay respects, and to a true great. Accolades aside, he, was one of the. I was really looking forward to seeing Kobe, what he could do off the court, because we knew what Kobe could do on the court. We knew how great he was. He showed us that every night he played through whatever it was, injury, whatever. Yeah, I know he had some personal stuff
That,
up.
that Achilles,
Achilles.
always stand out to me when he tore his Achilles. He went back out there and he shot his free throws.
Yeah, that,
Not a lot of people can do that.
Right, that memory. I know Kobe had some personal stuff going on off the court. Some family matters and whatnot that were obviously probably a distraction somewhat to him. But it didn't matter. You always got everything out of Kobe. He gave you everything. And as I heard earlier today, Kobe gave you what you came to see. And that was a show. And obviously, I'm sure we'll get here in a little bit later in this episode, favorite memories and whatnot. But yeah, I was really looking forward to seeing Kobe the dad because, it seemed like, especially if you followed the NBA, probably for as long as Joey and I have. If you remember, Kobe didn't really start coming to Lakers games right away after retirement. It seemed like he took a pretty decent-sized break, I would say, from basketball. Really wanted to spend a lot more time with his family, and 13-year-old daughter Gigi started, playing basketball, AAU, played countless days, I'm sure, at the Mamba complex in Thousand Oaks, which ironically is where the helicopter was heading, was to an AAU tournament that weekend over at that same complex. And so to see her hunger and her, thrive for the game, just like her dad, you could see it in her eyes. And this kind of stood out to me. It was kind of a bigger than basketball moment for me. Was seeing Kobe and Gigi pictured courtside at a few Las Vegas Aces games, some New York Nets Brooklyn Nets, Lakers games, and Kobe putting his arm around Gigi and explaining all the different aspects of basketball, and you could just see in her eyes just how intrigued and fascinated she was to learn from her dad, one of the greatest to ever do it. And to me that's something you're never going to get back. Family members or not, friends or not, I know we probably all say, I'll hang with that homie later on, right? I'll catch him next week or something, or
you just keep putting it down.
this family member I hadn't talked to in a while, I know they just try to call me, I'll give him a holler later on. And in some unfortunate cases, we don't get later on.
Yeah.
So as far as what I remember from Kobe, it's just I couldn't be more grateful for all the memories he gave me. Like I said, I'm sure we'll dive into that here in a few minutes, but this one hurt.
Yeah. Before we talk about our favorite Kobe memories, I'd obviously want to talk about Gigi Bryant, which I think was the most heartbreaking thing of it all for me. She was 13 years old, had her whole life ahead of her, man, and just seeing how much she looked up to her dad and her drive and how hungry she was and how much her game and personality modeled Kobe Bryant was just amazing to me. And they played the Lakers Kobe's final game at Staples Center the other night, or last night I should say, on ESPN. The hardest part of that all was, I was at the gym on the treadmill. I had to get off and just go do something else because it was heartbreaking just seeing the camera pan to Kobe's family, and how into it Gigi was and how proud of her dad Gigi was, and seeing Kobe give her final speech and just seeing Gigi right there, clapping and having just the brightest smile on her face. That was really tough. And how much she wanted to play in the WNBA and how it seemed like she was in a perfect pathway to go to UConn. It's truly heartbreaking, and I can only imagine what Vanessa Bryant and again her three daughters are going through. And also want to shine light on the other victims. I believe it was Oregon Community College, Orange County or Oregon, regardless. That family losing their lives in that tragic helicopter accident. They also had a 13-year-old daughter who was on Gigi's team, I believe. She had her whole life ahead of her, and that was cut short. And I'm sure she also had big dreams and big aspirations as well. Kobe's assistant, who was a wife and a mother. I can only imagine what their family's going through right now. Now that kid doesn't have a mom, and that dad doesn't have a wife anymore. And also the pilot. He also, their family is now without him. So it's just truly heartbreaking. Not only Kobe and Gigi, but everyone on that helicopter flight seemed like they had their whole lives ahead of them, and it was unfortunately cut short. But I hope they all rest easy, and they'll all truly be missed, whether it was from the NBA world or their personal families. It's heartbreaking to see.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of funny. I kind of thought about this past couple days. It seemed like Kobe had two careers.
Yeah, father.
He had basketball Kobe.
Three. Well, I mean, father, husband, basketball player.
Yeah.
And mentor to the other NBA players he trained.
Yeah, and I mean, we all, like I said, we all know how great basketball Kobe was, and it looked like family man Kobe was going to be just as great, if not greater. You could tell sitting, with him sitting there courtside with Gigi. I've never seen Kobe that calm, that at peace with everything. Normally, the images you probably see of Kobe on the court, he's very intense, he's very loud,
tenacious,
fierce competitor, and it was kind of shocking to me to see Kobe that calm and that cool, really, especially with exhibiting so much patience with Gigi as she continued to learn the game of basketball. And it's unfortunate because I'm sure a lot of people would like to see Gigi's career continue to evolve, and unfortunately we'll never get that opportunity.
Yeah. A little brighter side of things, I guess. We'll talk about some of our favorite Kobe memories. I got a couple. One really kind of involves more of his shoes, but when I was in 5th or 6th grade, I really wanted a pair of the Kobe 9s, and they didn't have any, obviously, out in Las Vegas. And I had my brother, Josh, live out in Southern California, or I believe got the pair for me. Or maybe we went over to Caesar's Palace. I don't think Little Caesars had shoes, but
maybe they do.
The Nike store over at Caesar's Palace, it was one of the two, and I finally got the shoes, and I was just so happy. I really wanted those shoes, and I had those shoes for 2 years, and I wore them to every one of my AAU basketball games. Another one was I got to shake Kobe Bryant's hand one year at the Team USA basketball camp, 2012. I saw LeBron, Kevin Durant, but I think Kobe was the best part of that. Just seeing Kobe take the time, there's nothing against it. You see some players just go straight to the bus. They probably don't want to deal with it. They just want to get on the bus, take a shower, and rest for the rest of the day. But seeing Kobe take the time to autograph everyone's shoes and autograph everyone's hats and autograph everyone's jerseys or whatever, and make some kid's day was truly awesome and heartwarming. Various amounts of basketball games. I'll pick two. His last game in Boston. Probably the only time I wasn't mad about the Lakers beating the Celtics. Seeing it was 104, 102, and seeing Kobe hit the dagger on the Celtics, hit a three-pointer to give him a 107, 102 lead at TD Garden during his last game. What a more perfect way to go out. Destroying the Celtics one last time in their home arena and breaking the heart of Celtics fans again. I don't even think they were that mad either. Kobe, I think that was the only time Kobe got cheers at TD Garden. Nothing but respect for Kobe, and seeing him stick around. I saw a photo Sunday night after the game. He stuck around and he came out to center court, TD Garden, and he brought his family there. Like, that's how much the games in Boston meant to him. Bringing his family there and hanging around half court and just soaking it all in, all the memories they had at TD Garden. The 2010 NBA Finals, 2008 NBA Finals, and the various regular season games that he played in his 20-year career, I believe, at TD Garden was amazing. And obviously his last game, I think, was one of the only few games I watched from start to finish of the Lakers, and probably the only time I rooted for the Lakers. Seeing Kobe go out, what a more perfect way. Going, dropping 60 points, shooting near 50% from the field, and also the comeback. They were down, I believe, 86-96 or 88-96 with about a minute 50 left. That's not an easy comeback in basketball. And seeing him go off and I believe score 13 of their last points and then assist the other one was amazing. And then obviously the iconic speech at the end of it, Mamba out. So those are my top 4 Kobe memories and moments, and also how great of a father he was. I know we talked about it, but that was just amazing. How great of a father and husband he was to Vanessa and his 4 girls, and how proud of his girls he was. Rachel Nichols said on the Jump the other day that you couldn't go anywhere with where Kobe would always come up to you if you saw him, and he'd always be so proud and show you pictures of his daughters. And I thought that was truly amazing, and him taking the time out of his day to take Gigi to various UConn games and Las Vegas Aces games and WNBA games and Laker games and Nets games, and just being a role model to her and being a leader, and teaching her the ins and outs of the game. And I'm sure he did the same thing with life, teaching her the ins and outs of life, and also how great of a mentor he was to a lot of NBA players, training with Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, LeBron, Kawhi. I don't have a whole list, but I know without Luka Doncic, he trained a lot of players. And you see how heartbroken those guys are because, they really looked up to him. So, Matt.
Yeah. I guess probably the ones that stick out most to me are first that, and it's kind of on a unfortunate note, I guess, in Kobe's career, is 2008 Lakers. I do remember watching that playoff run. Probably Joey's probably happy about this one, that the Celtics ended up knocking off the Lakers in the finals.
I wasn't even a fan then, so.
Right. And then, that following season,
Going back to back.
2009
and 2010.
Yeah. In 2009, I believe beating the Orlando Magic. I don't know if they swept the Magic. I believe so. I'd have to double check.
It was either 4-0 or 4-1.
Yeah, I know it was a pretty dominant series against the Magic, and I remember that team pretty well. Derek Fisher, Kobe, Powell, I believe Andrew Bynum, Lamar Odom,
Meta World Peace.
Meta, and then that same team really coming back 2010 and getting their ultimate revenge on the Celtics. It's kind of funny. It kind of reminded me. Looking back on it, that kind of Kobe getting the last laugh of Boston, if you will. Obviously, he had that, like you said, memorable last game in TD Garden. But as far as playoffs are concerned, that team, I remember watching that. I believe that was a 7-game series, and I remember watching Game 7 in the living room with my dad, from start to finish. And I remember Kobe's speech after. He's pictured and all that, and. And then probably, I remember him winning the MVP. I remember, that game where he accepted it. Unfortunately, I can't remember who the game was against, but I do remember Kobe accepting it, and me thinking to myself, man, this guy really only has 1 league MVP. That's pretty shocking. I'd like to know who's got the other ones. And then, the final memory is probably the one that we all cherish probably the most. It's obviously the most memorable on the court Kobe, and that was his final game against Utah, where that season hadn't really gone according to plan. I think to the Lakers, they would have hoped for a better season. And I believe even Kobe was struggling a little bit towards the end there, as far as performance and whatnot. Just his body starting to betray him a little bit, getting frustrated with that, and I remember all this hype going into that game, and I was thinking to myself, man, I mean, I just hope Kobe, is happy at the end, like going into that game. I was, if you had told me at the end of the day,
I was hoping for like a solid
if you had told me at the
20.
beginning of that day, hey, Kobe in his last game is going to go drop 60.
At 37.
I'd have been like, man, wishful thinking, but if Kobe can just have a solid performance, I'll be thrilled. And Kobe went out the only way that was probably right for Kobe to go out, and that was go ahead and drop 60 on the Jazz, and including willing his team.
Killed their playoff hopes too. If they would have won that, they could have gotten the 8th seed.
Yeah, and I'm sure Jazz fans will forgive him now. But seeing Kobe, in that final game, it was another game I remember watching start to finish, and it was I call it Kobe's last dance, because every time he came onto the court, it was a performance. He was going to give you a show, and I know how pricey those Laker tickets are.
Yeah.
He was going to make sure you got your money's worth, the price of admission. And also, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, I distinctly remember watching Kobe when he ruptured his Achilles come back. It was another game me and my dad ended up watching downstairs in the living room, and me and him both said, after the injury had happened and he was walking to the free throw line, we both looked at each other and we said, what is this guy doing? He looked, and he, as only Kobe could, just unfazed, unbothered, stepped up and hit 2 big free throws, I believe, to win the game. And then obviously went to the locker room, and after that, those are really the moments that, to me, stick out from Kobe on the court. And then obviously he was starting to give us even more off the court, with being pictured courtside with Gigi at all these different WNBA games, NBA games, trash talking Luka a little bit even.
Yeah, and his language, I forgot, Slovenian.
Yeah.
Sorry if that's the wrong language, but whatever language Luka speaks, Kobe learned the line and spoke it to him. And Kobe did that a lot of times. I think he did it with French for Tony Parker.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that's probably the Kobe I'll probably miss the most, is because we didn't get to really see much of it. The off the court family man Kobe, that exhibited so much patience with his daughters, especially with Gigi and her basketball career, and it's just tough.
Yeah, this is definitely the toughest show I think we've done. All 3 of them, from the one on Monday or yesterday, how we opened it again today, and now this got harder each and every time. I've never really been this heartbroken over a celebrity's incident, and our continuous thoughts and prayers and condolences go to the Bryant family, to the Lakers organization, all the players in the NBA that are really deeply affected by this. You see Kyrie and Jason Tatum and James Harden and Westbrook sitting out games. You saw the Lakers game postponed. LeBron was truly devastated about this whole thing right now. And also all the other families involved in the helicopter accident. The community college baseball coach and his family, Kobe's assistant, and obviously the pilot. They'll all be remembered. And again, me and Matt do send our thoughts and prayers to those families.
Yeah, I think if you haven't gained anything, from watching this video up to this point, take this with you into life. As far as, take that time to, maybe call that relative back that you have been dreadfully putting off. Make some time, for those friends and those family members that maybe want to hang out, or like, I got whatever going on. Stop putting it off. Go home and give your family members and your loved ones a big hug and tell them you love them, because you just never know if you're going to get tomorrow. It's never promised, especially as we've learned with Kobe. And take the time to really appreciate those that are in your close circle, whether it be close friends, whether it be family members, and like I said, really take that time to cherish, appreciate, and show them all your love and support that you can, because unfortunately they could be here today but not here tomorrow.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. Again, we appreciate you guys listening. Until next time,